Well, like, it's been a wee while since I made a video, and apologies if my audio sounds somewhat strange. I'm using a hand-me-down laptop now, and I'm not even entirely sure if it's got the capacity to be able to tinker with the audio too much, but nonetheless, as I say, it's been a wee while since I've made a video where I've actually recorded any audio. Not out of laziness, in truth. I think a lot of the videos that I've been uploading as of late speak for themselves in many respects, but this one here came to my attention because of stuff that I've been watching today. This is from Education Scotland. This is one of their webinars, and it's called Scottish Learning Festival Online, or SLF, Our Anti-Racist Curriculum, Real Life Examples to Affect Change. Now, towards the end of this video, this is 36 minutes into a 49-minute video, they're going over a few different websites, or a few different examples on a website, I should say, called Sway. The website's called Sway, and they provide some QR codes. So I was having a wee look at these using my phone, and it's just more preposterous nonsense. I'll let the video speak for itself a little bit before I go through in a bit more detail the websites that the QR codes brought up, but this reminds me of the anti-racist quote-unquote materials that they brought out in the wake of George Floyd. And funnily enough, George Floyd gets a mention in this webinar session towards the start. Of course he does, but I just want to emphasise and stress the point again, as I do quite often when I make videos on this particular subject. These individuals, Education Scotland, or the Scottish Government, the Anti-Racist Educator, Building Racial Literacy, CRER, or SIR, or whatever you want to call them, Intercultural Youth Scotland, SAME, SAMEE, that is, all these different institutions, all these different organisations, all these different teachers, all these different policies, every single part of it, every single facet of it is designed twofold. One, to reform Scottish academia and the curriculum, and two, is targeting our children. Alright, so with that being said, play a bit of this.
This particular learning capsule focuses on unconscious bias, and I'm going to ask Stevie to move to that capsule for me. Thanks, Stevie. And like I said, it presents things really in a nice way. You can change things up, and the link that you share with your learners updates all the changes that you make to the resource. But like I said, we kind of designed them thinking about our colleagues, and they can be used in a number of different ways for self-reflection, as a catalyst to start a conversation during your DMs. In this particular learning capsule, we kind of talk about key vocabulary to do with unconscious bias. We have a lot of prompts to think of what where that unconscious bias comes from, different types of unconscious bias. And again, Sway allows you to create some of those really nice flip cards. Thanks, Stevie.
Right, okay, you get the point. I'm just going to try and skip it a wee bit forward because they provide a second QR code. So the first one's about unconscious bias. The second one is not racist or anti-racist. Right?
At examples of oppression and its impact on individuals, looks at circle of discrimination, how to break it, global citizenship, experiences of racism, and the difference between not racist and anti-racist. And I'll ask Stevie to take us to that resource just now.
Oh. Notice as well, she said the first time I played the video, learners, obviously they're talking about children and teenagers, adolescents, whatever you will, pupils, school pupils. So this is designed for teachers to take into their classroom and present this to children and adolescents.
Just that thing popped up.
Fucking
Thanks, Stevie.
boomers, boomers. Anyway, So, one of three QR codes that they provide will take you to this website here. Not racist or anti-racist. In this unit of work, you will focus on examples of oppression and its impact on individuals, circles of discrimination, global citizenship, experiences of racism, what it means to be anti-racist. What does it mean to be anti-racist? I wonder how they're going to define it in this webinar here, or this website even. Check your understanding of the following keywords: discrimination, oppression, prejudice, internalise and stereotype. And then we get the first of many a video on this website. Quite a few, actually.
It's National Brotherhood Week. What's brotherhood? Treat everyone as though he was your brother. And is there anyone in this United States that we do not treat as our brothers?
Yes.
Who?
The
The black people. Who else?
Indians.
Absolutely the Indians. Many places in the United States. How are black people treated? How are Indians treated? How are people who are of a different color than we are
But
treated?
they don't get anything in this world.
Why is that?
Because they're different colors.
You think you know how I would feel to be judged by the color of your skin? I don't. Do you think you do? No, I don't think you'd know how that felt unless you had been through it, would you? It might be interesting to judge people today by the color of their eyes. Would you like?
Something I've always found to be somewhat irritable by all this critical race theory bullshit that seems to be seeping into Scottish academia is it's predicated on, for the most part, American university extremists, if you will, ideologues who are very set in their ways, and they've conjured up this wonderful theory of critical race theory, and they managed to masquerade it under the terminology of simply opposing racism. But on top of that, on the flip side, or a second prong to that, is that they then in turn they take all of the sort of issues that occurred historically speaking in America, you know, with slavery and whatnot, they copy and paste that, and they've pasted it slap bang in the middle of Scotland, as if the same experiences occur in America the same way that they do in Scotland. It's not the case at all. Now I know that you'll get these people also insinuate that we're very ignorant of our own history and we don't know that we had a part to play in the empire and a part to play in chattel slavery, etc, etc. But let's not beat around the bush here. There was not always a populace of slaves living on the lands of Scotland the same way that there was in America. America and Scotland have two very fucking different histories, so you cannot copy and paste, but that's exactly what they're doing. Okay? That is exactly what they're doing. Issues that may or may not have occurred, rightly or wrongly, in America are not applicable here. But that's what they're doing. And then, of course, the same way they use this on a website dedicated to education in Scotland. Their first example is a video called the Blue Eyes, Brown Eyed Experiment, where they're trying to say to the children in the classroom that if you've got brown eyes, you're going to be treated differently for the day, etc, etc. And it's all about making these children think about what it's like to be treated or judged based on their colour. Well, in this context, the colour of their eyes. To try and get them to think about how blacks or brown or BAMEs or BIPOCs, whatever you will, feel, you know, on a daily basis. And this again is just further strengthening that narrative of victimhood mentality here, and white guilt is on the rise. And the irony, of course, being that whites now on a daily basis are, in fact, judged purely for being white. We are the epicenter of all attacks. The whole mere irony of anti-racism is it's a constant attack on white as a concept. Whiteness theory, white fragility, white supremacy, white privilege, etc, etc. Just for being white, you are harangued, lambasted, judged, and spoken about as if we're fucking lab rats, etc, etc. White allyship, white awareness. Anyway, it's just my point to bringing that up though is that this is how so these experts, quote unquote, get brought in to conjure up these resources and these materials that, as I said, started off, the core basis of where all of this started is in American universities and these types of people over in America, and it's been copy and pasted here, right, to try and get into the minds of teachers here, to make them see the world differently for the critical race theorist lens, to make them racially literate, etc. They then in turn, if things go according to plan, which they seem to be, they will then in turn take up the mantle of anti-racism and promote it to the children. In order to get them to promote what they want them to promote, they have to manipulate And this is manipulation. So well, anyway, tap to flip through this stack of what? So obviously that's in relation to that video. So then we've got, look at the diagram with the circle of oppression. But even this here, oppression. Oppression. Like, the fuck? So we've got fear of difference, stereotyping, prejudice, discrimination, internalized oppression. Internalized oppression doesn't exist. And then round and around and around it goes, apparently. How can we stop the cycle of oppression? We've got another video here. Let's see what this is. That's channel 4. I bet.
And internalized oppression is the idea that sometimes people in oppressed groups will start to take on those same thoughts about our own group. You allow...
I don't know. Again, American. Still not really relevant though. We are global citizens. Have you ever considered yourself as a global citizen? What do you understand by this term? Flip the cards and think about your own part in global citizenship. Scottish tablet. Scottish tablet is made of sugar, but where does sugar come from, you racist bigot? Oh. Around 80% of the world's sugar is delivered from sugarcane, grown by millions of small-scale farmers and workers in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Oceania. Right? And importation and exportation has been a thing since the dawn of time. You know? But of course, the implication there being, oh, but it's called Scottish tablet. But where do you think they get the ingredients from? It's not really Scottish. Clothes. Many of our clothes are made of cotton. Where does cotton come from? Cotton is grown in warm climates, tropical regions of the world, like India, Egypt, and China. Phones. Wow. Most people can't imagine their lives without a phone. The key components of mobile phones are made of a metal called magnesium. Or manganese, sorry. Where does manganese come from? Why did I say magnesium? Sorry. It's deposited, or deposits are mined in South Africa, Australia, China, and Mexico. And fruit and veg. Next time you do your groceries, check the packaging of your products and the country of origin from the label. How many different countries have you counted? This is just ridiculous. Okay, whatever. So let's just move on. Experiences of racism. Not racist versus anti-racist. Sometimes we sit down and look around us as we think, how can I possibly change all this? And sometimes you can. But what you can do, is make sure wherever you go, people know where you stand. They know that you're an anti-racist. You can become a beacon of light that way. You become someone who makes other people want to be anti-racist too. You've got tools at your disposal. Learn and read, and make sure everybody clear where you stand. And then of course they want you to follow a link to a bite size. What's wrong with me today? I'll have a look at that, but I'll pause it first.
There's a big difference between being not racist and being anti-racist.
As did I.
I know it doesn't seem like it. I know that both of these things seem equally good, but they're not. Think of an interaction. I'm afraid you've probably had one, right? With somebody, maybe even somebody you respect, maybe even someone you love, who says something that's racist, does something that's racist, behaves in a way that's racist. Someone who's not racist, they won't say or do anything in that moment. They want to not rock the boat. They don't want to be upstanding. Instead, not racist, they tend to be bystanders. But afterwards, after the event, they'll find other people who are also not racist, and they'll talk to each other about, oh, that was terrible, that thing that happened the other day. I would never say anything like that. Anti-racists are different, and they come in all shapes and sizes, they come in all ages. Anti-racists are constantly looking around to say, what tools do I have available to make it clear that this is not acceptable? And this is what anti-racists do. It's not that they stand up at the dinner table when their uncle's a little bit racist and kick the turkey off. That's not it. But what they do is they say, I'm sorry, Uncle John. That's not acceptable. That's racist.
You know, it's actually quite odious when you see videos like that there, because that's not what it's about. Oh, the lovely sentimental music in the background, because this is the grooming process, but this time directed towards teachers, because, you know, up-and-coming teachers, or just teachers in and of themselves, will be presented this material, and it's simply, this is how, it's like a Trojan horse in many respects, because it's not just simply about standing up and saying, you know what, that was wrong, you shouldn't have said that, how dare you disrespect Tyrone like that. No, that's not what it's about, because anti-racism, it's the same sort of principle as Antifa, alright? It's just opposing racism. No, it's not. Okay, here's some examples from the anti-racist educator. You know, it's just anti-racism, just simply opposing racism. I've showed this before, but we've got systemic racism. We've got theological racism, right? We've got institutional racism. We've got interpersonal racism, internalized racism, okay? We've got scientific racism. You know, and there's more. Oh, yeah, there's more. You know, and then let's not forget all the concepts that they've got to go along with it. The further you go down this path, white fragility, etc. But we've got, today would be nice, cultural racism, racial capitalism, okay, environmental racism, coloniality. And then, of course, they say down here that racism is race, prejudice, and social institutional power. A system of racism is a system of advantage based on race. Racism is a system of oppression based on race. Racism is also a white supremacist system or society. Racism is different from racial prejudice, hatred, or discrimination. Racism involves one group having the power. Right, so here's them adopting the same sort of talking points that we all used to hear many years ago from American college campuses and whatnot, the SJW era, if you will, prior to Trump. And now they're trying to apply the same notion here. Okay, also as well, on top of that, we've got the Building Racial Literacy Program. This is all relevant. It's the same people pushing the same nonsense. Here's it here, right? And this was their action plan for the Building Racial Literacy Program from Nizutu Tamani, right, one of the critical race theorists, who just simply calls herself an anti-racist, may I add, right, just for anybody that's not seen this before. I have covered it in a video a long time ago, but look at the very top. Look at the fucking top, right? Oh shit, I might have to zoom out a wee bit there, like, we've got talking about white privilege, white racial identity development models, and black racial identity development models. You know? And what else have we got here? For white people, here's a better look at it probably. You know, so growing my understanding of the different barriers and challenges faced by BAMEs. Then we've got showing solidarity and a deeper understanding towards other marginalised groups than my own, for both learners, their parents, their families, and colleagues. We've got, for minority peoples, increased representation of their heritage and background in teaching and learning while showing value to these. And of course, in order to justify that, they have to say that the lack of representation of their heritage and background in teaching must be because of racism. You know, Eurocentrism, it's all racist. You know, lack of browns and blacks in Scotland, well, that's racism. Also, a greater ability to understand the challenges and barriers they face through the educational journey so as to provide appropriate support. For white people's increased understanding of the value of diversity in their own lives. Oh yeah. What is the fucking diversity, eh? Having teachers who are racially literate, which means critical race theory, means that learners will be able to carry a curriculum, sorry, my spelling or wording today is really bad, I don't know why. Enjoy, not carry, a curriculum that is more meaningful and representative of 21st century Scotland and more global. They will encourage learners to have more open conversations with their teachers as they begin to feel more accepted and valued in their educational spaces. And you can't even spell with right, isn't that sweet? I want to talk though, because I keep messing up my words today. Just though. Children and young people who apply critical, emphasis on the critical, thinking strategies will be better equipped to move forward in a world that presents many challenges, blah, 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 right? But, I mean, you get the point. I've covered this enough times for people to know what I'm on about anyway, but one more up here, I've seen something here. Start an anti-racist school club. Yeah. Okay. So let's get back to where I was. I think it was here. There we go. So, a wee bit further down. Grow a coaching conversation. Thinking about saying no to racism and a path of anti-racism. What is your goal? What is your current reality? What are the obstacles? What will your way forward be? Grow a coaching conversation. Alright, it's the same thing. Alright. And then of course we've got this odious website here. These people, I can't stand them. The other QR code will bring you to unconscious bias, right? They say bias is a prejudice for or against one person or group, often accompanied by a refusal to consider the possible merits of alternative points of view. Check your understanding of these keywords, and we've got unconscious, opinion versus fact, impartial, influence, judgment, alternative viewpoint, perspective. Prejudice, merit, unconscious bias. Where does it come from? Oh, I don't know. You tell me where it comes from. Oh, I wonder. Media exposure, family, school, friends, experiences, work culture. There are different types of unconscious bias. Affinity bias. Favouring people who share the same social background, who look and sound like one of us. You mean in-group preference. We ignore the faults of people we like and notice the faults of those we don't. Alright, okay. Confirmation bias. Well, everyone knows what that means. Noticing or looking only for evidence which confirms our idea is good or bad. That's the irony of all this, though. Like, the irony is that that's exactly what's taking place here. Because every single piece of material, every single policy that's predicated on the back of the ideology that's been spewed out into our academia as of late across Scotland, it's all predicated on confirmation bias, if you will, because it's this one-sided narrative that would insinuate that brown and blacks are eternally oppressed. Even taking a step away from that, you don't even need to bring race into it. Just the mere topic of oppression, lack thereof, is what we should be speaking about. Stereotypes, attributing group characteristics to individuals, the same way that they attribute all of this bullshit to white people exclusively. Microaggressions, non-existent. Subtle experiences of racism that happen on a daily basis in public spaces. Oh my god. It's just ridiculous. I mean, look at these images. What do you see? Think and wonder. So what have we got? Migrants blamed for surging crime. Foreign benefits scandal. You say that there isn't? It's been a surge in crime since we've started importing people. And are we not going to be honest here and say that there was a lot of foreigners coming over here and taking benefits? You know, freedom of movement, of course, is a wonderful thing. Why blue-eyed girls and boys are so brilliant? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say to that. Born to be spoiled, future boss. And then don't fucking buy it. Anyway, what's this? And then to finish off, imagine you're on a bus. Who are you least likely to sit beside? Fuck. What made you say that? Highlight your own prejudice. This is supposed to be activity time, you know. Tell us. Which of the following characters would you least like you to sit next on a bus? You know, the irony of that being, though, of course, that I would assume that most people would do this or this one, probably. You know, skinheads, stereotype. Ned, chav, stereotype. But the vast majority of Neds and skinheads, if not all, were white. So have you not kind of just destroyed your own argument there because you're trying to push a narrative here about racism, etc., etc. And it solely exists because of racism. It solely exists because whites hate blacks. The system is against blacks. But yet your example that you then bring up How's a chav and a fucking skinhead? Oh, Jesus, I don't know. I really don't know. Is there more to this? No, there's not. But, as I say, the reason I want to bring this up, it's been a long time since I've made a video, but these are just some of the most mundane webinars, mundane resources that are being shoved into teachers' faces, slapped down on the head teacher's desk for him or her to decide whether or not to incorporate this into their school. And 9 times out of 10 it becomes the way of it. But it's a Trojan horse, because anti-racism, they use the most mundane examples, as I've said there, but it has seriously malevolent undertones that I have showcased all year round, and I will continue to do so all through 2023. But it has to be said that this shit has to stop. Peace.